For you guys that love turntables, I have a dual 1249 that just came in. The guy that owns it says it needs a belt. It doesn't work. It needs a belt. Well, it needs a lot more than a belt. In fact, it doesn't need a belt. That's about the only thing it doesn't need. This is going to be a fun one. I spent all day on it. Let's check it out. I have a dual 1249. This one here, well, it starts turning as soon as you plug it in. The switching is not working, so good chance it's just a mechanism that's gummed up on this one. So we're going to have to pull this one out of the base and give that mechanism a go through. First things first, I'll remove the cartridge just so that the needle doesn't get damaged. I notice I called it a needle just to set you people off that will go off if I call it a needle instead of a stylus. So it's a needle just to set you guys off. Alright, so first things first, we got to remove the actual changer from the base. Then we're going to lift up the chassis enough to swing out the mounting lugs. So they can lift it out from the base. Turn on its side. We got lots of slack on these wires on this one, so that's good. I'm going to turn it over and just sit it on the table, on the platter, just like that. And now we can see the mechanism that is going to be gummed up and need to be dealt with. So we can see that this one's got the infamous SM840 motor. Anybody who's familiar with these duals know that this motor here works fine on 50 Hertz, but in 60 Hertz countries, due to a manufacturing defect, it sometimes starts at double speed, and the only way to correct it is to power it off and turn it back on. And there are kits available that I've done the mods before where you change out a little circuit board, put a little circuit board in here and hook up to the wires, and basically what it does is it cuts the frequency momentarily to allow the motor to start spinning up, and then it gives it the full 60 Hertz. So basically I think it cuts it probably to 30 Hertz. Use a diode just to kill one half of the rotation or one half of the cycle until the motor gets going, and then it gives it the full power. It doesn't happen on all of them, but it does happen on a lot. And I did that, I covered that before where we did the modification to it, and then the mod kit broke down and it had to be taken out and redone again. But anyway, that's what motor this one's got. We can't do much about that. That's what it is. It is what it is. It was German manufacturing at its finest, and they screwed up. But the Germans never screw up, right? So if we look at the mechanism down here, when I remove the tone arm from its mount, you'll see that the switch turns on, like it should, but it doesn't turn off. And that's because the mechanism is sticking. See, this should go all the way down like this, and it's not. It's sticking open. So we have to lubricate. It's going to be on probably on this post here. We got to pull this mechanism apart, clean out the old grease, and re-lube it. And that should make this one operate like it should. So we're going to tear this mechanism apart, take out the pieces, lubricate the parts, and hopefully that's all this one needs. Well, let's remove the platter. This is a belt drive table, so the belt drive is down here. It's just a sub platter that comes off. The belt looks to be okay at this point. Don't see anything wrong with the belt. I wonder if the steuerpimpel is no good on this, which is also a possibility. So if we take it all the way here, will it pick up? It will, but it's not returning. So the steuerpimpel is also going to be bad on here. Right, it will pick up, but it's not moving. So we're going to have a bad steuerpimpel on this one for sure. One thing that is broken is the little belt for the pitch control. So I don't know whether, I don't think we can even get these things anymore, but that little belt is to be broken. Yeah, you see? That belt is snapped. I don't even know where we can get a belt like that now. They might be available, but I'll have to talk to the guy that owns it and ask him how important the pitch control really is. Just checking the speed selection. Doesn't appear to want to go down to 45. So as I mentioned before, the lever that's really sticking is this one here. This is the one that shuts the motor off. And as you can see, it's not close, it's not returning all the way. So it could be stuck over here. And I think might be a spring under here too, if I'm not mistaken. I think there might be a spring. There's a spring in here as well that pulls it back. I mean, it doesn't appear to be gummed, like not like some of them. We're going to lubricate it over here. This one looks like it's been done at some point. It certainly needs to be redone. The steuerpimpel is, I'm sure, non-existent, which is over here. And it appears to be that it is, in fact, where is it? You can see it. It's probably because it's missing right here. The steuerpimpel right there is missing. That's this little pin right here. So, that one, wherever I'm pointing. The steuerpimpel is that pin right there, which you guys can't see, but if I tip it a bit, you can. Okay, steuerpimpel sits on top of that. And what it does is, when the cam moves up like this, and moves back and forth, this is what actually drags the tone arm back and forth. It's missing. You can see where it used to be. It used to be kind of a brown or orange in color, and it's gone. So we're gonna probably make one out of a piece of the coax center from a piece of cable and fit it over top of that. And that will hopefully do the job. Because I don't have any steuerpimpels, I don't know that I feel like ordering one. Let's deal with the sticking mechanism first. So the lever that sticks is this one here. That's the one that pulls the brakes back. It's not sticking on this side, it must be sticking on the other side. You see? Could be sticking right in here too. This could be sticking right there, that little lever there. Could be sticking. That puts the brakes on to stop the platter from turning. When this kicks in there, it drags the belt and slows it down. We're going to pull this assembly apart, clean under here, clean this this mess. It's going to be probably dried grease on that post here, so we're going to pop this clip off. Then I can start to remove the mechanism pieces. Remove that one. That's for the single play or automatic repeat play. Remove this one. You know, I can't believe after all these years, I'm still getting people making comments on the old Wolverine film scanner. People that don't understand it are just making comments, talking out their ass basically, about the unit itself and its quality. Oh, I'd never let that touch my films, it's not good enough quality. That's because I think some of them go by what they see on YouTube, and YouTube's overactive compression. But I just had another client today that brought me a test reel. We did that a week or two ago. He brought me some more film. We did that one. And then today he brought me 15 large reels to transfer. So obviously people out there are seeing the quality of it, and they are acceptable quality, because I've never had anybody complain about the quality of it in the 5 or so years I've been using it, other than people on the internet who have probably never even seen the thing, but will sit there and make negative comments. And the fellow I'm doing the work for, he'd read some of those comments and he didn't trust it because of the comments that he had read being all negative from the internet community that have probably never used it. Okay, let's going to clean this up, get some alcohol. We'll clean that bearing out here in a post and lube it with some new oil. Much better already, just clearing off this old grease. We'll put a drop of oil on there that will keep it moving freely. Clear off all the grease that's on here too. This stuff is hardened. It's almost like concrete. What was sticking it before, it was this stuff on here is become very gummed up, and that was up against here. This is the bottom side. This is more than likely where it was sticking. Right here was just this lubricant here that's all dried up. To scrape it off, it's so bad. I'm just cleaning this up, and we'll put some fresh lubricant on here. I'm just going to probably use oil as opposed to grease. Okay, this goes back in place like this, and it goes inside underneath here. That fits on there like that, and slides onto this cam like that. Okay, this one here is gummed up to its back here. We're going to clean this post at the back, if you can see it, what I'm talking about. This post back here is also kind of gummed up right here, so we'll get some more isopropyl in there and clean that one up. I'm just using 99% alcohol to do this, and okay, try putting that piece back in. There, now it's nice and smooth. Alright, that's a little better. We'll just put a bit of oil on there, and then a little bit over here. Okay, that's no longer binding like it was before. Next will be the control arm. This goes in here like this. Again, we're going to lubricate this. We'll clean out the bearing here first. I'll just push my Q-tip, which is still saturated with isopropanol. We'll push that through and clean the bearing out. As you can see what's come off of there. And we'll put some oil on the shaft. Oops. Like that, and then this side over top. That holds that in place. And then this has to line up with this other control arm, like that. See how things are working now? That's how they're supposed to work. And then last but not least, we've got this last control. This is for the auto repeat. And then we'll put some oil on this one as well. And then this one drops into this other lever over here. There, that goes on like that, and then the E-clip is back on top like that, and that is got this part of the mechanism that was gummed up, freed up. It was a fair bit of crap that came out of those bearings. Now, as you can see, the switch completely, and there's nothing to drag it now. It's nice and smooth. We'll put a bit of oil over here, just a drop. Doesn't need much. That'll work into that one. This is the record side selector, this one. So when you change the speed, when you move the speed lever on the other side, the speed lever also moves this arm, which moves this arm, which is this is the queuing lever, right? That one. But it moves this arm. This is what changes the position for whether it's a 7-inch record or a 12-inch record. That's what changes this arm. But again, it's not gummed. This is all free moving, so I don't think I need to do too much with this one. It's not stuck. And if it's not stuck, leave it alone. That's my motto. We're gonna relube this one, but this is one piece that quite often sticks, and it's not sticking on this one. So we're gonna do the gear, and I think see if we can get a steuerpimpel, make one up to put on here, and try that, and see how that works. The fellow that owns this doesn't want to spend a lot of money on it, so it's not a rebuild. It's just, can you check it over and see if you can make it work? I want to play some records. So we're not going to be spending huge amounts of time taking the gear, the cam gear and everything off. I mean, you can go crazy on here. You can start removing all this equipment. You can start removing all this stuff. But if it's not problematic, then there's no real reason to touch it. And as I can see here, all these parts are moving freely. It was just this one that was, well, basically it was just this one lever here that was stuck. That's the one that was stuck. We'll clear out the cam gear. We'll re-grease this with some moly coat. Because this one does get dirty and gummed up. That's the one that gives us the most trouble, is this one. Records not picking up, records repeating over and over, not stopping, not repeating, etc. As you can see, there's a fair bit of old grease in here that needs to come out. Put some new grease into the track. I don't have a lot of the stuff left, so I don't want to waste too much of it. And you know the saying, too much grease is worse than not enough. So I'll operate the mechanism a couple times. I will work the grease through the track. This is the stop cycle. I think that's the stop cycle, or is that the start cycle? Might be start. Where's stop? That should be stop there. This lever will flip the other way when we activate the stop cycle. Flip it that way, and that should now trip this lever, which it does. It moves it the other direction, so now you'll see the cam this time will go on the inner track instead of the outer track. So now the cam is going to go into the inner track like this, and as it does it, it resets the gear. You see, it resets that back. So we turn it to which one start and which one stop on this. So start is this way, that's start, and as it turns, it flips the lever, brings the cam in to the inner circle, it resets and then goes back to there, and if I flip it to stop, which is the other way, it doesn't kick that lever into place, and it follows the outside track. Like that. Now this picks up and drops the record. You'll see I think you probably noticed that the cam gear itself has a raised portion and a lowered portion. So this lifts this up. That's what lifts up the record, and then the steuerpimpel over here makes contact with the underside of the control arm, and that's what moves the record. So now we have to deal with finding something suitable to replace the missing steuerpimpel. I'm thinking a piece of this center from a piece of coax might do the job of the steuerpimpel. Just got to make sure that it's the right size, and it should be able to fit it over top of the existing shaft here. So we remove this by just pressing it down and releasing it. My God. Push that over top of the post. You can see where the steuerpimpel rubs on here, right? It creates friction. And that's just how it works. That should snap back in like that. Now, with any luck, when this lifts down, it will make contact with the steuerpimpel, which it does, and it should move the tone arm. So let's just turn the unit over and see whether the tone arm moves when I turn it. So first I'll put it to start. Picks the arm up. It didn't move it. I just noticed that this pivot point here is also extremely gummed up. This should turn freely and it's not. So we're going to pull this one apart and clean this one up too, because even though this will unscrew, I mean this should turn freely, but it's not, it's stuck. So that one is also gummed up. So let's just deal with that. Take this piece off and clean this post up as well, because it is glued tight, as you can see. The lubricant in here is just turned completely to like concrete. We can actually unscrew that from the chassis, but I don't want to. When I get this freed up, we'll just take that off. There we go. Okay, let's clean that one up as well. There, that's a little better. That's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to pivot back and forth. This is what the control arm moves on, and if when it gets gummed up, it actually starts to undo the screw in the chassis, which causes it to get sloppy. I don't know if that's why the steuerpimpel's not working, or just because it's too slippery, because it's the wrong type of material. The stuff I used is centered from coax, and it's nylon, and the original one's more like a silicone rubber, so that might be part of the reason why it's not working as it should. But certainly this hinge being gummed up like it was is certainly not helping the matter. So now we've freed up the hinge. Let's see what happens now when I put this back together, whether this will behave any differently. Okay, I'm going to just move the arm over here. I mean, it's not obviously not weighted properly because I don't have the cartridge in there. We'll flip it to stop. I just want to see whether it's going to move it back where it should go, which is not. It's still slipping. I can tell you what doesn't work. Okay, a piece of coax, the center conductor from coax. People have suggested that works. It doesn't work. This is a piece from a extension or power cord, and it doesn't work either. It's too soft. I'm going to try a piece of screen spline. So I've got a piece of screen spline. Now this is 0.18 inch, and I've heard the 185 works well. I couldn't get any 185. I just got a little sample. We're going to try this. I'm going to cut it about 1 millimeter above the height of the post here. So I'm just going to measure this off, make this 1 millimeter taller, and put this over here and see whether that will do the job. So let's just do some measuring. So here's my ruler, and this measures to, from the end, this measures to 5 millimeters, right to the top of the, you see here, right to the top of the post. So I'm going to measure to 6 millimeters and cut this. Let's push this out of the way. Cut 6 millimeters off here. Okay, let's put this over top. And see whether this will work. Short of actually ordering in a steuerpimpel. Okay, let's see whether this will work. Alright, let's try it. See, I get the unit just propped up here. I'll turn it by hand. Well, it's not working. Let's just try it out here. Still not working. Well, that time it moved all the way into the middle of the record there. We're getting somewhere. Okay, well, it moved all the way in. It didn't stop at the 12-inch portion, but hey, that's at least we've made some progress as to what happened before. We've made progress, so let's just work at this and see why it's still not working. Before testing, I just noticed that the tone arm appears to be a little bit on the stiff side. And it might be this bracket here, this adjustment here on this bracket. The tone arm guide goes in. I just loosened this off a bit to adjust it. There's a plastic guide here that you can see right down there, right in here. There's a plastic guide that the tone arm bearing rides in. Just want to make sure that that's not getting hung up on anything. I'm just checking other things on here, and I just noticed that like this tone arm appears to be kind of loose. This might be why the steuerpimpel that I made up isn't working properly. This screw here was loose on the back. I just tightened that down. I just noticed that this one here, I think this should be probably, this is what holds the tone arm. This screw right, you can't see it, but it's right here on the bottom of the, I think that probably is supposed to be tight. And it's loose. What else is loose on here? Anything else that's been loosened up on here? Everything else seems to be tight. That one was loose too. One of these is to adjust the height for either a stacker or single play. We'll try this again. Let's put this thing back in its cabinet and give it another shot and see what it does. Let's just goddamn thing start up at double speed. That would be the icing on the cake, because we already know it's got one of the bad motors in it, so watch the motor on this one be bad. Well, it is the bad style. But, Houston. It's going twice speed. Great. So it's got a bad motor on it too. So we need a steuerpimpel. The motor's screwed. What else is wrong with this thing? Well, now I tightened down the tone arm there a bit. I wonder if the... Hey! The steuerpimpel's working. Well, will it start? It's not lifting it quite high enough. That's what's happening here. That's going to go twice the speed. Well, the steuerpimpel's working. I just got to adjust the lift. It's not lifting quite high enough. Probably, does that change it? Oh, that part's working. So we made a steuerpimpel. Okay, great. So that works. It's this is for screen. It's what the hell's stuff called? It's called screen spline. So, well, at least I have a turntable that the auto function works on it now. The problem is it's going the wrong speed. Stop. Start up again. Well, this time. Oh, now it goes the right speed. And we can set the, I guess, the anti-skate. Well, that works. Okay, I fixed the turntable. I fixed the automatic part of it. So we had multiple problems on this. One, the tone arm was loose. The screws had worked their way out, or somebody had been in there because the screw in the bottom of the tone arm was loose. I was wondering why the tone arm moved. Like when I went to move it, what the hell's going on with the tone arm? Why is there play? Well, it's because the screws that I just showed you were loose. That's how it arrived. See, I don't know about it. This just came from a customer. He said to me, I think it needs a belt. Well, it needs a motor is what it needs. Or it needs that mod kit to fix the motor problem. But, because it's going to start up. Sometimes it's going to start at the right speed. It's going to go too fast. You can see it's going too fast right now. I'm only hearing one channel as well, so. Okay, I just reseated the cartridge. It wasn't, the head shell wasn't seated properly in the, or the cartridge wasn't seated properly in the head shell. It's going to go too fast. I actually have both channels though. Yeah, I got both channels. Problem is, still gonna go too fast. There, now it's gonna work. No, it's not gonna work, you bastard. There we go. Anyway, I'm done. I'm frustrated. I've been working on this thing for I don't know how many hours. Well, total, I guess I put about 6 hours into it, but that was also including a bunch of well, I stopped for dinner, but I probably got 4 hours into this goddamn thing today. And these shouldn't take 4 hours to do. But getting that, manufacturing a steuerpimpel. So this is what I used. Okay, I used it's screen spline. I used 0.18 inch, even though the guys that have done it before have said they said basically to use a 0.185 diameter, 4.7 millimeter. I just got a piece. They didn't have any. I went to Canadian Tire, didn't have any at Canadian Tire. Went to Home Depot, didn't have any at Home Depot. They had like 0.7. I went to Rona and they had 0.8 or 0.18. Sorry. So I just got a little sample. So can I get a couple of inches? They just cut it off of a reel, like a bulk reel. Here, have some. So they gave me this window screen spline. And that seems to do the trick because, as you can see, I made one. I cut it to 1 millimeter longer than what it measured. So this has got an extra millimeter on the bottom here. I measured the entire shaft, measured to 5, but it's actually 6 because if you can see the bottom here, it starts 1 millimeter up. So it measured to 5. So I cut it at 6. I tried one at 7. It was a little too long, and I tried one at 6, and 6 seemed to do it. So it's actually 7 millimeters is what you would cut it at, because we're taking into consideration that extra 1 millimeter at the bottom. But that works. So if you need to make a steuerpimpel, that will work, and you can see that it is working. If I press stop, it seems to work pretty good. So that's something to keep that in mind, that you can make your own. But it did not work when I tried a piece of lamp cord. It did not work when I tried the insulator from coax. That did not work. It just did not have enough grip to do anything. And I'd cut that to the same. I'd cut that to also to the same length, right? So I cut it to the same length. And it just didn't work. It just, I don't know whether it was too stiff or whatever, but it did not work. At least that coax did not work. And a piece of lamp cord did not work when I tried a piece of lamp cord. This was too soft, I think. Anyway, it did not work. But the window screen spline, which is what's used when you stuff the new screens into your window frames, your screen frames, this is what you use to hold the screen in place. That works. So I now have a turntable that works when it wants to work because it's got a bad motor. German engineering at its finest. Although this motor that's in here, they work fine in 50 hertz countries. So over in Europe, not a problem. Works fine. But due to a design problem on that motor, the starts up at double speed a lot of times. See, that time it started at the right speed. And that time it started at double speed. So anyway, I let the guy know. He thought it was a belt. Well, it was a lot more than a belt. First of all, the mechanism was gummed up. Second, the tone arm was loose. How that got loose is anyone's guess. Me thinks maybe somebody had fingers into it. But tone arm was loose. Mechanism was gummed up. We know that this has been worked on before because some of those gears were just far too clean, right? Somebody had been into this one in the past. But anyway, it's working as well as can be expected considering it's got a defective motor. I'm done with this. I'm frustrated with this one. It needs that. I'll have to talk to the guy about that. But again, he probably won't want to spend any more money on it. If he's going to spend money on it, it should be to get the motor correction kit, at least so that it starts up at the right speed. Anyway, I'm done with this one. Frustrated. Whole day wasted trying to get one turntable fixed. I've got other stuff sitting here. I've got a Yamaha Super Audio CD player sitting here to look at. I've got EVS 7000 sitting here to work on. I've got a Samsung TV. Again, got a few things to work on, and I waste my time on stuff like this. Anyway, and then at the end of the day, we got a defective motor, right? If the motor wasn't defective, I'd be sitting pretty now and happy because this is now functional. And I even got the automatic function working. Can't complain about that, but the motor, unfortunately, on these ones is bad. I think I got the speed pretty close to it. I had to adjust the pitch control using a 1/4-inch drive on the top of the pitch control adjustment because the little belt is broken there. But I just wanted to make sure that the auto replay works. So if I pick the record up here, pick the needle up, drop the needle at the end, it should return and start the record over because I've got it set from 1 play to infinite play. And it does. It works. As advertised. Okay, I'm done. I've wasted way too much time on this one today. We will catch you in the next one. Bye. One thing I should note is if you've got 12-inch singles at 45 and you have it on infinite repeat, guess what's going to happen when it gets to the end of the record? It's not going to start it from the beginning. It's going to start it from the 7-inch position. I just figured I would point that out. With this one, it selects the size based on the speed.